If you've ever been just sitting there wondering to yourself, how corrupt is our government anyway? Are politicians really in bed with big oil and big business? Or is that just something Clayton says on his show? It's really not true. I don't really see any evidence of that because I'm too blinded by my own ignorance to look around and see what's actually happening. Do you ever say that to yourself? Do you ever say, how corrupt is our government anyway? I've often said the reason we can't get any meaningful environmental legislation through in our country is because of the claws of big business and Wall Street, big oil, that donated hundreds of millions of dollars to all of these different candidates and can get on the phone and tell them what's up. It's like watching that show Yellowstone. You watch that show? It's a great show, that Kevin Costner show. I mean, it's a perfect example. You want to see how things actually work? That's how they work. The richest guy in Montana is, cavorting with the richest people in Montana at the state legislature, getting whatever they want through, while the little guy gets crushed. It's exactly what happens, time and time again. That show is fantastic. It's spot on, because that's how our government really works, like the Wild West. And now we have Alaska, which is the final frontier, right? The last frontier. Isn't that the last frontier state? This is an amazing story because the Pebble Mine, let's talk about this story and why this is really stunning. In secret tapes, mine executives there detailed exactly how they managed to just basically shake down senators up there to get their way. 2 U.S. senators. They basically said, we have a direct line to the White House, and we get anything we want through. Well, guess what? I guess they didn't take into account that some environmental activists managed to pretend that they wanted to invest in this new mine that these guys were going to build. Brilliant, because they love money, right? I'm an investor. I want to invest in your new mine that you're trying to ram through Congress, trying to get approval on it. Trying to go through the EPA to make sure it doesn't do environmental damage up here in Alaska. You're an investor? Come on, sure, I'll sit down with you. Let's sit down and talk. You're going to donate money to me because you want to invest in my new mine up here? We're going to drill into the rock. We're going to rape this countryside up here in Alaska because no one can see it. We get to do whatever we want because we're in the pockets of politicians. Well, they didn't take into account that these quote-unquote investors were not investors at all, but they were environmental journalists, environmental activists who secretly recorded the conversations and have them on camera admitting that they have these politicians in their back pocket. Senator Lisa Murkowski, Senator Dan Sullivan, the other senator from Alaska. And one of them, Tom Collier, now as a result of this, resigned today. He resigned one day after these tapes came out, boasting of his ties to these GOP politicians, Tom Collier. He was going to make $12 million if this Pebble mine went ahead. Oh, yeah. See, this is what activism is all about, folks. This is what happens when people uncover the truth. These types of things happen. And now the Trump administration has put this mine on hold as a result of it. Interesting, isn't it? When people take things into their own hands. Yeah, let's listen a little bit to this mine conversation, this hidden conversation with environmentalists and Tom Collier, as he basically says, look, Lisa Murkowski and Dan Sullivan, these are politicians who basically will make a lot of noise about the environment, but they're going to do it publicly. I love how he explains this. He's like, what they're going to say publicly, they're just going to say this out loud, like, hey, we're really concerned about the environment, but hey, I got your back. I got your back. I'm just going to say it because I'm going to say it out loud, but I got your back. He acknowledges that this is what they do. And he's telling them, we're in their pocket. We got them. Here he is, secretly being recorded.
And once the mine is starting producing employment, development, after that, nobody's going to stop it. But do you think that it's going to be unstoppable?
Yes. Well, who's going to stop a mine that has 160,000 metric tons per day? The first deposit that we've discovered at Pebble, and there will be more, but the first one lasts 180 years. But when you've got 2,000 people working, making $100,000 a year, and the state's collecting money, the area that we're in, the Lake and Penn Borough, which is the municipality, they have to understand there's hardly any people live in Western Alaska. In 50,000 square miles, there's 7,500 people. And 80% of them are on the coast, anywhere from 120 to 500 miles away from us. And Senator Murkowski, I mean, she's very political. She, in her heart, wants the project to go ahead. She will say things that appeal to sometimes people's emotions, but that won't do any damage to the project overall. So, Senator Murkowski, we feel good about. Senator Sullivan. So Murkowski isn't up for election. When a senator's not up for election, they don't do anything. And Sullivan's going into his second. So he's got a battle on his hands, and we're trying to work with him to make sure he doesn't go and say something negative. And he won't say don't build the mine, but he might say, well, don't issue the rod until after the election.
Oh my God, can he do that?
Well, he could say that, but would it have any impact? It depends on, whether Trump feels he's going to lose. See, Sullivan's a Republican senator, and is it important that he gets elected? And if he says delay the rod, will that help him get elected?
So those were Zoom calls, Zoom meetings with their potential investors. And so they recorded them, because you can record it very easily in Zoom. And there you go. He has now resigned as a result of this, Tom Collier. And they're looking into this more deeply, but they won't do anything about it. This mine will open up in a few months, I'm sure. But this is an example of, activism that works, where the people say no. People say no. Enough of these big companies raping our countryside so these people can line a few. The first thing he talks about, of course, is the amount of money they're going to make on these, right? And then he talks about how they're far enough away. He's acknowledging, of course, that no one wants to be near this thing because of environmental problems as a result of this, right? Get away from us. We're living, people aren't nearby us. That's fine. What does it do to the countryside, even though there's no one living there? And then beyond that, he talks about how we've got to talk to these senators. We tell them what to say. So we're having meetings with Dan Sullivan, Senator Sullivan, just to make sure he doesn't say anything wrong. Because we're one of his donors. We're having meetings with him. We're going to make sure he's on our side. We're going to make sure he doesn't say anything wrong. We're going to make sure he doesn't talk badly about the mine. He's not going to go out there and say something stupid like don't build the mine, but he might say something like don't issue the rod until after the election, which is, we're going to work with him on that. Shocked. It's like, I'm shocked. It's like Casablanca. I'm just shocked to see that there's gambling here, right? I'm shocked, Rick, that there's gambling going on in here? Really? And this happens every day, all across our country, all of these members of Congress, and there's only a few of them right now who are self-funded, who don't take money from these big donors and corporations, because unless that stops, it's going to continue to happen. This kind of crap is going to continue to happen. And the only reason we learn about it is because some environmental activists understood what was happening and infiltrated them, got the story out, and we got more. Now we know that these senators are dirty. Now we know that they probably received tons of donations from this company. They're bought and sold. That's why this show, this is my focus, is to bring these stories to you, to get the truth out there. We're not doing enough of it, folks, because if you watch the mainstream media, you're not going to see this. You watch any of the big mainstream media shows, you're not going to see this on there. They're more interested in telling you what something stupid Trump said today. or how Democrats did this on CNN or Fox or any of them. Make sure you guys vote. You know, we have 40 days now, if you can believe it. 40 days till the election. Early voting. We now know that hundreds of thousands of votes have already been cast, and they were cast before RGB died, which is huge. But nevertheless, we still have to have people fighting for that vacancy. We still have to have, we still have to demand that our members of Congress stand up and fight. Demand that they issue a stimulus package before the end of the year. They're not going to, but demand it of them. But as long as they know they have millions of dollars coming in from these big corporate donors, they're not going to do a damn thing. Go ahead and smash that like button if you haven't already, please, and subscribe to the channel. I do want to tell you about our show sponsor today, our friends over at Webull. And they are giving away $1,600, valued up to $1,600 for free, just for signing up with an account on your phone. And they've got their brand new, beautiful dashboard they just rolled out, their new software, version 4. It's fantastic. I have it on my Mac. Just go to morninginvest.com/Webull. And again, you do it right on your phone, subscribe using the app. It's totally free to open your brokerage account with them. And then you can start trading. They'll give you a free stock valued up to $1,600, and you can sell the stock. Okay, you get the stock. It shows up in your account. I think it shows up about 10 days after you sign up. That's how long it took for mine to show up. So I think 10 or 11 days, business days. And then once that stock is in your account, you can sell it or just hold it. It's free money. And since the stock market continues to do well, and they give you valuable stocks too, they don't give you crap. Like, they give you premium stock in premium companies. And just for opening an account, like I said, if you never do anything else with that account, that could be like a rent payment for you, right? That could be groceries for the month. And then just sell the stock and transfer it back to your bank account if you don't want to use them. So it's smart advertising for them, because they could put up billboards all over the place and hope that people would sign up for their brokerage account. Or they could offer to give you free money, and then maybe 5% of you end up actually becoming a stock trader and buy some stocks from time to time. And then that's a win for them. And then they paid for the advertising that went directly to people who wanted to try their service out. So I think it's smart. Robinhood does the same thing. But Webull has been a big supporter of our show. They support independent journalism. I got a note from them yesterday that said, hey, we just want to they reached out to me and said, hey, we want to thank you for supporting us. And we support your show and the way that you bring the news to people. And we want to continue to be a long-term partner with you and support your show. I said, thank you. Very kind. So thank you to Webull for supporting our show.